Good morning, everybody. Let me welcome you all to this half-day workshop, where we requested the ministries and departments to sponsor joint secretaries and other officers. And the idea was, and I must thank the first-year secretaries who have responded very, very graciously and generously. And we have got 63 nominations from the different department ministries. I hope the hall can take it in. It's good some have not been able to make it yet, or some will make it later, and because we may not run short of the space. The idea is basically, as Mr. Augustine Peters has said, the Competition Commission is charged with the responsibility as a regulator to ensure fair market play. That's the main responsibility. But that responsibility we can discharge very well only if the government also, which is a very active player, as he said, in many ways, which I'll come to also, it also joins us. And you are all sensitized to what is competition law all about. See, till yesterday, life was very good, in a way, I'm saying so. When I was in the fertilizer sector, and I was MD, joint MD of the Gujarat Rabda Fertilizer Company, we were selling a lot of products in the market. And nobody asked us, what are we doing? We'll talk to our competitor, tum kya price quote kar rahe ho? Hamara ke ja raha hai. So we used to coordinate very regularly in the 90s. There's nothing, we didn't find it harmful, because हमारा जनरल मैनेजर ईडी बात कर लेगा अच्छा पूछ लो उससे व्हाट इज इंडोरामा डूइंग व्हाट इज दिस पर्सन डूइंग एंड व्हाट इज द कोड वी आर फाइनली गोइंग टू डू सो एट दैट टाइम इट वेंट ओवर वेरी वेल वी ऑल मेड मनी लेट्स बी वेरी ऑनेस्ट एज द जॉइंट एमडी responsibility was to earn for the company, not knowing that 20-30 years down the line this practice will be totally prohibited, and today it is illegal under the law. You have been in the ministry, you have held various positions, you must have worked in different positions. And what Mr. Augustine Peters said, you must be already dealing with many such situations. We are not going to kind of educate you on this. It is only to bring in that little sensitivity. Look, now you have to be a little careful. You can't deal with the way you were dealing in the past, because this law has come into being. And more regulators are, as they said, more and more regulators are getting established. We are the competition regulator, you have electricity regulator, you have airports authority regulator. Of late we have created a real estate regulator. So the question is that the government is moving from now government to governance. That is the slogan we are going. So governance will be through regulators, and they have a responsibility to discharge. Independent of that, what is said, the separation of power has taken place. Now we are not the policy maker, but we are here to see that the markets function well. That's our main charge. So this half-day workshop, the purpose is to talk to you and to tell you that, look, what is that we expect of you as administrators, as the policy makers in the ministries? You will be holding a lot of positions here in government, in the state government. So we will just like to tell you about this. Look, we have to know this law also, because this is important now. And there are certain contexts which can be kind of taken otherwise if they are not adhered to. This has become even all the more important in the era of reforms which we are going through right now, in every sector. And you are the participants in that process. Some of you may be the architects of the reform process which are taking place. Already two major reforms of GST and your insolvency code, insolvency and bankruptcy code, they've already stolen march over a whole lot of other reforms which are taking place in several sectors. Today they are being talked of word over. Now, for these reforms to succeed, all these reforms which we are undertaking, it's very important, as Mr. Peters said, that we need to have a well-functioning market in place. You can't do this without a well-functioning market. If the government program of ease of doing business, make in India, startups, etc., they have to succeed, you have to ensure that the market is well-functioning market. People will come and invest only if they are sure that there are no price preferences, which used to be the way of life in the past. Our PSUs can supply 5% or 5% price preference, or the quantity preference were given. If they know their interests are protected, I mean, I am making investment in your country, and I must be sure that my interests are protected. There's no foul play in the market. Their innovations will not be kind of seen as anti-competitive. You come with innovation, as Mr. Peter said. The idea of competition is to promote innovation. I develop an innovative product, I come and invest in India. My innovation is not seen as anti-competitive. You like to see, there are some safeguards given in the Act for that purpose. They can put reasonable conditioning. So the idea is that you will be doing business only in India if there are certain sureties about it. And in that, we all have a responsibility. Government, its department, and government means state government and central government both included. Departments, ministries, competition commission, sector regulators, even Chief Vigilance Commissioner, I'll come to that, how is that relevant in this context? Public and private sector, all have a responsibility. Why? Because we all are now enterprise under the definition of the new law. Competition law, everybody is an enterprise. It has the neutrality. It doesn't distinguish between the government and the private sector. Now, everybody is an enterprise, even department, DGHS. We thought the other day, we held as in the Competition Commission, you are not an enterprise, but compared to our appellate tribunal said, no, sorry, you are an enterprise. And the other, one more judgment, I think, who else has held? PWD. We thought that's a department. They said, no, you are also an enterprise. So one of the reasons is that this law treats everybody as an enterprise. Government, barring four departments or few departments like atomic energy, space, defense, etc., which have been precluded from the purview of the Act, everybody that comes in the definition of an enterprise. So therefore, we all now have to play together. So therefore, one of the reasons that why we all have a responsibility is that we are an enterprise and we are at par. And second, as Mr. Peter said, the law is competition neutral. I mean, it's not that it applies only to private sector. It applies as much to the public sector. So given that we all have a very major responsibility to discharge, it is in this context I will mention only 3 or 4 areas where we need to tell you that you can help us a great deal. And you can work for promoting competition, because that is the primary purpose of this half-day workshop, that we tell you, look, you also can participate, you also can contribute. The first area which I like to highlight is the policy making. In policy making, framing rules and regulations, whatever we do, because the government is an enterprise, as I said, you will be involved one way or the other in looking at how is this policy going to impact on the market. So in that context, what Mr. Peter said is very relevant. You all know it. I don't need to teach you competition assessment. That's not something which is, you can, if you look at the Act, you can straight away look at, oh, what are the provisions which are now not gelling with the competition law. He mentioned we had a 2-day conclave the other day, because we want to build capacities for competition assessment within the country. We want it within the CCI, and we wanted agencies like institute like IIMs, IITs, and other institutes also to have people who are trained in competition assessment. But if you ask me, having been joint secretaries and also worked in different capacities in state government and secretaries later, I don't find that we can't do it. You can do it internally also. You take a look at this, you can yourself make an assessment, and we will expect of you that if you look at a policy, regulation, law, you will be able to say, are there competition concerns or not. I'll give you a small example of the APMC Act. In that conclave, we also looked at the new APMC Act, the Model Act. In the agriculture, that was one of the acts we chose to look at. And what we find is, because I was in the agriculture sector in the state, so what we find is that we had mandis and boards earlier, and they were all set up with a purpose. APMCs and mandis and boards were established with a purpose. The farmer brings his produce, he gets a place where he can market to any number of people who want to buy, and therefore he doesn't kind of feel constrained to sell to somebody in the village. In the marketplace, there are more people to buy, and therefore he gets a competitive offer. He therefore sells at a good price. But in actual practice, when we studied these mandis, I'm talking of 2000, 2001, when I was MD of the Gujarat Agro Industries Corporation in Gujarat, we found that the mandis also have become now centers of cartelization. The Vaparis have cartelized, now they form groups, the farmer cannot go to another set of, they all have cartelized internally. Ye farmer aayega to hum kharidenge, ye aayega tum le lena, and kind of thing. Chairman was a man who was also indulging in all kind of practices. The APMCs, they ceased to be that effective an instrument of promoting competition as it was envisaged to be. Now what we found that the model competition law now takes a makes a departure and takes another step in this direction. It introduced private markets. It introduced e-auctions. It introduces even the national mandi or national market where people can come and sell. So we were doing the assessment and putting in a situation, look, now let us look at this law. This is a movement forward to promote competition, to see that whatever practices have got into the APMCs or the mandis and board, now they are counted through competition by the private markets or through the e-auction. So the Model Act has taken a step forward, and that is again, I'm sure, if you, I think those are from agriculture or related department, Mr. K.M. Sani, I mean, he was the person who drafted this act, who was retired as Secretary Labour from Government of India, and he has worked in different capacities earlier. I think he was in agriculture at that time. So he had drafted this APMC new Model Act. The point I'm trying to make is that you are the people who are experienced or have the experience to draft the new set of laws which promote competition. It's nothing you have to learn. There are toolkits available, as Mr. Peter mentioned. There are toolkits available. You can use them as a help or an aid or a assistance. But you are in a position, the position you hold, you are in a position to kind of make these assessments yourself and see that whatever we are doing is moving towards the competition and promotes competition. You can also use your knowledge, experience to look at even the laws which have been enacted. It's not that you have only to apply to the prospective laws or policies. Even the previous laws you can look at and see whether there are any competition angle which need to be addressed. To give an example, I was told that in Australia when they did it, they have saved I think $5 billion. I'm told that they looked at all the state legislations to identify what is that restricts competition, and when they reviewed and reformed it, the GDP, the Australian economy grew by 5.5% additionally because of that. So it is not that you have to look at the prospective act, look at the past act and see how you can kind of tweak them, make them competition compliant, and kind of give fillip to the growth in the economy. So that's a major thing which you can do for us. So this is your work-related area where you can contribute. The second important area where you can also be great help in promoting competition or bringing in tenets of competition is the working of the central public sector undertaking in the central government or the public sector undertaking in the state government. Now, I'm sure the joint secretaries or the directors, you must be on the board of PSUs as nominee members, or you must be also reviewing them in the departments. There used to be QPRs. I'm told this system is still in vogue, where CPSU's performance is reviewed quarterly by the secretary and his team, and then a whole lot of discussions take place. Now, I would urge very strongly to all of you, when you do this quarterly review, make assessment of competition as one of the agenda items. You must look at the CPSU behavior. They are not indulging in any anti-competitive behavior, because tomorrow if they are charged, and we have cases before us, I'll come to those, the Competition Commission is going to kind of ask some questions. Okay, look, why is this behavior and why did you do this? So I would request in order to stop that, please look at this as an item in your quarterly kind of reviews, and to make sure that they also become sensitive in the process. Look, I can't do anything which is anti-competitive. And let me not indulge in those practices which I said I did way back in 90s, or later I was heading GIDC that time. It was monopoly, selling industrial estates. We were monopolists. We were doing whatever we felt like. We charge a price for it. We built all our inefficiency into the system. No, it cannot happen. So given the fact that you will be the people kind of looking at the working, do look at that. Also look at, there are statutory monopolies, like somebody is from coal, if the Coal India Limited is a statutory monopoly. You're created by virtue of the act. You are a monopoly, that's okay, it's created by a law. You enjoy, and this is not bad per se, as Mr. Peter very correctly put it, but you have to give them operational freedom, because if they don't have operational freedom, their consumers or the clients are going to charge them and say, oh, you are alleging in these practices, now these are not permitted under competition law. We already have such an act against, a case filed against Coal India Limited, and we're looking into this. Oh, you are a monopoly, you are indulging in these kind of abuse. So you have to see that when they are doing their statutory monopolies, they have the operational freedom. Now that is something, see, look, we control you for this. Now, in case of Coal India Limited, what one finds, very interestingly, I mean, this has been, call it a legacy or a practice in the past. All the CPS will come to government and look for all decisions, the CMDs, to be sure that nothing, so he's not accused of anything which he has done is wrong or otherwise wrong, kind of, somebody finds a fault with it. No, they have to break away. Operational freedom is yours. I don't want to interfere in that territory. That is something you do. But if you want to come for policy, yes. No, in the past we have exercised a lot of control. हमारा भी joint secretary का मन खुश नहीं होता था जब तक उनको बराबर दबा ना लें और पूछें सवाल उल्टे सीधे जब quarterly review होता था. All kind of questions will be asked as if CMD is working like a subordinate to the ministry. And actually joint secretary wanted to be always in command of that CPSU. मेरे से ही चलेगा. So that I think has to now also break away, and you have to give them the operational freedom to work so that they are not alleged or charged with any anti-competitive behavior. For this, as Joint Secretary and Director, you must also understand the market dynamics per se. You will also know how the market is operating. You can give operational freedom only, you know, oh, this behavior is anti-competitive. Don't indulge in this. As Mr. Peters said, we have antitrust provisions are two only. Section 3 and Section 4. Smita, I think, will take you into more details of what these sections are. Basically, as an enterprise now, you can't indulge into any anti-competitive behavior. You can't cartelize. You can't do bid rigging. That is Section 3 antitrust provision. And Section 4 says like the monopoly. You are dominant in the market. You can be dominant, but you can't abuse your dominance. I very, in a lighter way, say you can be Dara Singh, but don't say I'm Dara Singh in the market. Don't assert your power. Because the moment you assert your power, the other person will say, oh, he's asserting his power and putting wrong conditions, unfair conditions. Please look into this. This is not acceptable anymore. So those situations have changed. So please look at that, these, because they are very important that you have, whatever you are, you don't indulge in any of these Section 3 or 4 antitrust provision, you don't violate in any sense. Section 5, of course, he's talking about the merger. That is another area which we'll come to later on. So you have to see they're not coordinating in any ways. The CPSUs, they're procurer, they're also bidders. See that their quotes are not, when they receive the quotes, they receive from legal entities which are not under common control. We had a very interesting case where they are saying, oh, two companies have already quoted, but today he didn't look at they are under one common control. So there's no competition actually. Earlier we used to be satisfied, मेरे को 3 quote मिल गया यार, I am satisfied, 1 + 2, 3. But whether those two remaining 2 quotes are from the same entity, economically controlled, those of economics will know, under same economic control, then that is not a competitive bidding. So these issues are now getting highlighted. And mind you, the CPSUs, some of the CPSUs, state governments, departments like railways, defense, state government, one of the state governments, and one of the CPSUs, they themselves have come to Competition Commission, now say they're alleging, look, I'm not getting the fair bids. So there is a awakening which is coming up all around to question when they receive the bids, they have to be fair. So they say, now I find these bids are not fair. They were living with it in the past, now they're questioning it. Now that is where I think you need to watch the CPSUs, their behavior, and see that they don't indulge, both as a procurer as well as a seller or a supplier of the goods or services. The other area which is important is L1. Now we have the CVC guidelines on L1. The CVC guidelines says that once you get an L1, you will not negotiate. If you don't cover the quantities, you go to L2, ask him to match, etc., etc. We all familiar, I don't need to dwell more on that. Now, this is a practice. You know, you have to watch. Especially you find when many suppliers have quoted the same price. Identical pricing. Then response to bid. Now, what do you do? L1. Who is L1? Is the question. What we have discovered in the cases which have come before us, this has become a method. You, as Mr. Peters said, you can't, in any anti-competitive behavior, you can't share markets or you can't share customers or you can't kind of indulge into bid rigging. Because you can, here they are sharing, they say, okay, you also quote, I also quote, and we will share the market ultimately. वो मेरे को भी थोड़ा दे देगा, 60% आपको दे देगा, 40% दूसरे को दे देगा, we will both be the beneficiaries of it. So you have to now see that they don't quote, if they quote identical prices, why? What are the reasons for quoting these prices? Very often we have found the departments or the public sector undertakings, they don't have the capacity to internally assess what is the competitive price. In the case of one of the railways, the case which came before us, आप पुरानी प्राइस पिछले साल की कोट कर दो यार, बस ठीक है, मेरे को नहीं पता what is the price. He's neither making an effort nor is probably having the wherewithal. I don't know what's the reason. So as a result, you are promoting or encouraging anti-competitive practices. What Mr. Peters said, we want in that where there are kind of number of competitors, suppliers, they must compete in a genuine way for the quantity, for the price, and the government must benefit. So therefore, it is very important for you to watch that this happens when it comes to procurement. L1 is not exploited in a manner that you are coerced into accepting the price and dividing the kind of thing at the same price with the different players. You have to see that there is a genuine competition, they have an understanding of the market, they do their homework, internally assess what should be a competitive price, and then try and achieve it. I think that is very important. Otherwise, we are losing out very heavily on this. So one of the reasons is the lower number of vendors, and as I said, the inability and internally to arrive at the competitive price, which should be this. So we must develop capacities in CPSUs for kind of building up this kind of knowledge. And sensitize also to the fact, and we must sensitize also. Look, tomorrow this behavior can be questioned. The CPSU which filed the case with us was the one where the board of directors, one of the members of the board of directors questioned. He said, look, I will not support this kind of bids. These are wrong. Immediately that public sector undertaking came to us. Oh, there is something bid rigging. Please look into this. So you now run the risk of some board member who has got the knowledge and questioning it, or some aggrieved person also questioning and say, look, they are not procuring fairly. There is some kind of, they have got into some collusion or a mix-up. So I think you have to be very watchful. Now there is somebody who can file the information from within or outside the system who is aggrieved. So we have to watch out this part of the work of the CPSU. So L1, don't be just beguiled into believing the L1 aa gaya, to sab theek hai. Look into what has got into L1. What are the factors behind it? And it is truly an L1, which will stand the test of a legal scrutiny from the competition angle or otherwise. The third point is the public procurement, which again Mr. Peter has touched upon. Here you can really make a difference, you know. According to one estimate, nearly 20% of the GDP is being spent on public procurement. And there's a feeling that even if we can save 1 or 2% of this, you can wipe out your deficit, fiscal deficit, through a better or more transparent public procurement process. So given that potential of this one, I think you must look at, because you will be in charge one way or the other, dealing with it, overseeing it, so you must look at it very closely, the public procurement side. There is a Sridharan committee report on railways, which he gave in April 2015. I'm sure some of you must be aware. He has concluded that the cartels in public procurement in railways are looting it for 10,000 crores a year. Now, that should give you an idea of what is going on. And don't think that we should not be sensitive. We must be kind of sensitive, and we must watch it, what is happening. Because don't forget, I mean, as public servants, whatever we procure at a higher cost, ultimately somebody is paying the price. It is being passed on one way or the other to the people of the countries. It's not something coming out of the pockets of anybody of us or somebody who's outside the system. Ultimately, people of the country are paying that extra price. So therefore, we have a duty to act with very great caution and care and see that this doesn't happen. Ministries, departments, they have been making references to us and will encourage you to make such references. Wherever you find such a thing is happening. We have got references and we're looking into this. Railways, defense, as I said, some of the PSUs, they have started making references, state governments. And we are looking into this and seeing that there's no cartel-like or bid rigging or there's no cartel-like behavior. If it is, this will be punished very severely. Worldwide, cartelization and bid rigging is the most serious offense. In many jurisdictions in the world, it's a criminal offense. The person goes to jail straight away. Fortunately, in our law, it is a civil offence, and the proceeding, the civil proceeding. So we only impose fines, but they also can have a deterrence, a lot of deterrent effect. But in other jurisdiction, it is treated as criminal offence, and straightway they are tried and sent to jail. So bid rigging and cartels, they are very serious and very pernicious to the economy, if I may use a word, and we must watch out that this doesn't happen. Under Section 49 of the Act, central state government can make a reference for assessing the possible effects of competition on any policy or legislation. The last point on my agenda, that you, as Mr. Preetor also said, you can send to us for assessment. My sense will be you can make it yourself also. You have the knowledge, you have the experience, you have resources, you can assess the policy, law, or everything. But in case you need our help, you can always make a reference to us and ask us to do this kind of work.